So let's step out and take a look at some of the items that we talked about to help prepare for the Azure AD Connect synchronization process. So here I am in my public-facing image. It's a virtual image here, and I'm going to go into Server Manager first. And we're going to go into the Active Directories, Domains and Trust. We're going to go to the Tools over here, Domains and Trust here. And you're going to see when you come in here, if I click on the top where it says Active Directory Domains and Trust, and then I right click and I go to Properties, and then here's where I can provide those alternate UPN suffixes. So right now, if we had an mtp.private or an mtp.local, I could come in here and set up an external or a routable domain here simply by typing in mtp.com, we'll just say, and then click Add. And now we have a routable UPN suffix that's available for this domain controller. And of course, I'd have to make sure my users are aware of that suffix, so I'd have to add it to my users either using PowerShell, as we talked about, or through the Active Directory users and computers. Also, while I'm in here, I talked about we need a forest level. I'm going to click on microcheckpoint.com and go to Properties. You're going to see my domain functional level is Windows Server 2012 R2, and my forest functional level is Windows Server 2012 R2. Remember, a couple of the requirements were at least a forest functional level of Windows Server 2008, so you can see we meet that criteria here. If we did not, though, we can come in here and again right-click, and we can raise the domain functional level. But remember, in order to raise it to the next forest functional level, all the domain functional levels need to be running that next level before I can raise the forest functional level. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And then if we go to Tools, and I'm going to go to the Active Directory Users and Computers this time. And now we're going to go into an individual user. And we'll just go ahead and click on Jeff's, double click on his. And you're going to see if I go to the account, and we'll say it's showing mtp.local or .private. I would drop this down now and change that to the new one that we just added that's routable. So pretend this is a non-routable, and I would just change this to a routable domain here for every one of my users. As I mentioned, if you get paid by the hour, this might be fine, but if you don't, you're going to want to use PowerShell to perform these same tasks. So that's how I would look at modifying the suffixes. But now I want to give you just a quick look at how to locate the ID fix tool. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go down to my browser. It's going to open up my website by default. Let's go to Google. And we'll type in ID fix. And we have the install and run the Office 365 ID fix tool. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I like this one better than just a download because it gives me kind of an overview of what's going on here. What you need to run it, as well as the hardware requirements. There's the 4 and the 2 gigs we talked about for RAM and space. Software requirements. Permissions. How to install ID fix. How to run the ID fix tool. And then how to execute a query to retrieve information about some potential issues you may encounter when running a synchronization. So this is how you would locate and gather some additional information about the ID fix tool. So in this module, we get to take a look how to prepare for the Azure AD Connect tool. We talked about really what it's all about and the 3 tools or features or functionality that's provided within the Azure AD Connect tool. We talked about the cleanup tools. We introduced a few of those cleanup tools to make sure you're prepared and to avoid the GJO, the garbage in, garbage out. We talked about how to synchronize non-routable domains. Even looked at how to set up a non-routable domain name at the domain level within the Active Directory Domains and Trust, and then at the user level within the Active Directory users and computers. And I also reminded you that you could do that in bulk by using PowerShell. And then we talked about the idea of not sending everything or not synchronizing everything with Office 365 by using the powerful option available of filtering. And what if we have multiple forests? Well, specifically with the email, we have some concern to be aware of. So we talked about what to be focusing on when preparing for a synchronization from a multi-forest environment. Next up, we're going to take a look at setting up the Azure AD Connect tool.